Okay, so this is the second half of the video for this build. Just to kind of decide now what motor I'm going to use. I just want to use something that I've already got sitting around rather than pull something new from stock. These three here came out of some TFL boats. They're a 56, what do they call it? 5660, 56 mil 60 long. They're 1000 kV. And I've got a TP of 4070, which is actually 40 mil by, I think, a 92 mil long. I think they're the older V1, and that means they're 7000 watt rated at maximum. And even though this one's a smaller can, this is rated at 7600. So this is actually the more powerful motor. This is 880 kV, that's 1000. I like the 1000 kV better. It's more suited to like a 10S power, 8 to 10S. Your 880 kV is good for 12S, say 10 to 12S. But I'm a bit limited with battery size. I don't really want to run 12S anyway, but if I put a 6S pack in here, the 4S pack here, if I wasn't holding the camera, yeah, see they fit pretty good. Or so that'll be 10S or two 4S packs, trust me. So I can get 8S or 10S. I prefer the KV on these big ones, even though they're a bit less powerful, but I think I'll go with this one here because I'm having issues with the balance of the boat. This one weighs a little bit less, and I really need to get the motor mounted back as well, just so I've got options with sliding the batteries forward. It'd be easier to mount it like back there, but then I can't do anything with the batteries. I don't even think I can do anything like this. Yeah, see, I can't even fit batteries in the side here, that's no good. So my only option really is to fit this motor as far back as I can, and I think I'll go with the 4070. Even though it's not the KV that I really want, I can just run a bigger prop to make up for that. The disadvantage with running a bigger prop for the lower KV is the bigger prop will want to steer the boat when you nail it. And what you would normally do to fix that is you'd mount this a few millimeter over, so it doesn't have that as much torque steer effect. I didn't want to do that because it's not going to be I don't want it to be a really fast boat anyway. I want it to be a reliable boat. So I'll just go with this one because the weight's less. I'll just mount it as far back as I can. Get rid of this little stuffing tube that they've had here as a holder. This was a 316 tube, which is what you'd fit in a boat this size, but we're going quarter here. So alright, let's get cracking. I'll cut that out first and then fit the motor. Now, because I'm going to be mounting it so far back, this part here is quite low, so obviously if it was up there, it wouldn't matter how high the motor was, you can make it work. But having this smaller diameter motor is going to help me take angle out of the bend in the stuffing tube. For the mount, I normally like to use these because I'm lazy. You don't have to bolt. I don't have to bolt all this together. And they're actually really nice and easy to fiberglass in. You just put your fiberglass right across that, and it's done. And then I just put a little support on the back of the motor, especially on these heavy ones. But I think I'm going to use this type on this particular one because I can adjust the angle down a little bit, whereas this is fixed. Okay, so that motor mount, when I mount it on the lowest setting here, on the highest one here to bring it down, is going to work out really nice. It's almost lined up with that anyway, so we can fix that with a little bit of a bend in the stuffing tube. That means rather than having it back here, I can get it like, well, somewhere like this with a bit of creative bending of the tube. I can get it right back there. Only have a cable that long, so it'd be absolute minimum amount of friction there. The other reason I've got to get it back is because I've got to figure out a way to mount the steering. You know, with a servo, I've got to get it in the middle of the boat so these can attach. So it's either get it right up the front here, like there, if I had it mounted back there, or behind it. So I don't even know how I'm going to do that. Through some adjustment on here, like the way where I've set these, I've actually managed to make it so it's actually dead straight. I don't even have to put a bend at all in the stuffing tube. Okay, so now I'm into the part where I actually have to think a little bit. So it's getting interesting now. Well, for a start, I'm going to do something I haven't done in, I've probably built 700 or 800 boats from scratch in my life, and I've never ever built one without a Teflon liner in there. But the stuffing tube is only, you know, it's only going to be that long, so there's no point putting a liner in there, and being dead straight, it would spin. It needs a bit of an angle to kind of hold it there. And over that distance, I mean, what's it going to do anyway? There's not going to be any friction in there, and there's no bend for the cable to rub on the inside of the tube. I'll never be able to get the cable out without pulling the motor out, being that short. But you know, over that distance, and there's a seal back here anyway, it should not get wet anyway. And over that distance, what difference does it make if it gets a bit wet? You know, even if I haven't got grease on it, it's not even going to touch anything. So I'm not worried about that. Next thing to mount my servo, what do we get? You get, how does that go on? You get this thing here. How does this work? I guess that goes onto your horn that way, and you hold that in like that, so it's going to be sitting out here and on each side. I've got to think about what I'm going to do with my speed controller. Or I don't even know what speed controller I'm going to use yet. I can't put it here because that's where my batteries are going to go, so it's going to have to be something smallish up here. I've got some of these old Swordfish 240 amp ones that actually do fit in there pretty good, but they're just so, I mean, they work, but they're just so unreliable. You put them near a drop of water and they fail. Yeah, put a prop that's on there that's, you know, too big, and see you later. They don't have any protection like the modern day stuff. So I mean, I could probably get it to work, but I don't know, it's just waiting for something to fail with those damn things. I'll just see how big one of these G2 ZTWs are in there. If I can squeeze this in there, at least I know it's going to be bulletproof. Can't even open it. There we go. Alright, look at that bad boy. Now if that can fit in there, I will be happy. Oh, I can make that fit. I can make it fit. Just have to just take a little bit of this down, and that will squeeze in there. If I can just, yeah. Well, better not push it in there too tight, or else it'll be part of the boat. I'll have to cut that out. So yeah, I think I can make that work. And they do weigh a little bit, but they're not as heavy as the old ones. They're in a plastic case rather than a fully aluminium case. This is the only aluminium bit, the cooler. I've just shoved it up the front there with my a 6S and a 4S pack there, just to see what it'd be like with 10S. But the balance point is just too far forward. I want it to be like back here. But it's more like, you know, here. Yeah, I need to have something to play with, so if I can put that back over there, it's going to give me a little bit to work with. So it's time to stop talking about it and actually do it now. Now with this kit here, you don't get the cable that joins to the motor, and you need a piece of quarter cable with the square on it. So I'm just using a second-hand piece that came out of another boat. So there's a female square inside here that's located there. So I'm going to trim the cable. My stuffing tube, I mean the only size I've got, same as that, is another used bit, but it's actually smaller than the diameter here. Like it'll go in there and it'll seat there, but it's loose there. So I'm going to put some silicone around here. And okay, so a little bit of change of plans. This was going to be my stuffing tube. I'm not even going to bother with that now. I'm just going to have it like that. I'm not going to have a stuffing tube. I mean the cable is so short it can't, you know, like it can't flop around. It's dead straight. So I'm just doing it like that. Just having it this short is probably not ideal for, you know, when you adjust it, just in case it does get kind of stuck in the square there, and it can't, you know, move along. But just get some grease on there just so that doesn't happen. And there, and that is how I'm going to have it. So just pull it back just to top. That's the end, so I'm just going to have it just back like that. So that's how much play I've got inside there for this to go up and down. There we go. Really tight. Just get it like that. Now here comes another first for me. I mentioned before I've never built a boat without putting a Teflon liner in the stuffing tube. I've also never mounted or glued a motor mount and servo mount in without using this stuff, the fiberglass, you know, tape or, you know, cloth underneath my epoxy. But I'm just going to try just epoxying the motor in, and I don't know, see what happens. So I've put a bead on each side of it, and then I'll take the motor out and I'll put a bead on the inside. I have to do that one half at a time, have the boat lent up. But this is how TFL does it on their motors, so I've never seen them use tape like or any cloth to mount their motors or their servos, so I guess it was good enough for them. I couldn't bring myself to glue this in without using the cloth in the end, so I've just put some on the inside here, just from one side to the other across there. I didn't use it on the motor. I mean, I had the motor out and it would have been so easy to do it, but I said I wouldn't, so we'll see what happens. This one here I had to because it only contacts there and there, so it was all open in the middle. Alright, so now I'm gonna put a blank here, just a piece of wood across here so the batteries can't slide into my servo, and then need to figure out some kind of battery tray. So I'm going to put two batteries in, so the normal one is too small. This one's too wide, this one's out of a Zonda. In the interest of recycling, I think I'll cut this thing up here and just make it smaller. And if you ever have a boat with rails in it, it's easier, you know, it'd be easier if I didn't have these when I'm putting this battery tray in, because there'd be no limit on the size. But the rails are actually the strength of the boat, or much stronger to have the rails than not have the rails. So don't just cut them out just because you don't like them. Alright, so there she is mocked up. Just my battery tray sitting in there for now. The balance point, or the CG on this one's about here. You want it to be around about a third on a mono or less. If you have it less, then you can always move the batteries forward and put weight at the front if you really needed to, but you can't go backwards. You see I've just got nothing to play with here. So my boat is 900mm long, so a third of that brings it to 600. That's about where the back of the battery is, and about there. My CG is here right now, so I mean I prefer if it was back, but I can't really do too much. So this is at 10s. I mean if it's too far forward, I got no choice. I just got to run 8s, so take some weight out of it by just running 2 4 cells instead of a 4 and a 6. But I'll get there. So there's my battery tray glued in. I've done the steering as well. It wasn't very hard, but it was fiddly. It did take me longer than I thought it was going to take just to do this. I had to mount these holders for the tubes for the steering cables. Just put them onto the motor mount, which was handy. It is really hard to turn. I mean, if you pull it with your hands, it's like quite hard. This is a 20 kilo servo. It's not actually pulling it that far, so maybe I need to do something a little bit different here if it's not going to work out. But we'll see how it goes in the water, I guess. Time to finish it off, put some water pickups in it. Obviously there's no rudder on the back with a water pickup, you know, to go into the boat, so we're not going to use that. There's still plenty of other options. You can use those tubes that hang down from the transom if you like. Those little brackets that we sell that are little L shape that sort of come here and out with a 1 or 2 pickup. You put those in there. I actually like doing it from inside the boat myself. It's just a little bit neater and one less chance of a leak going in the transom, so I use these. They're a little bit, the way I've made them is a little bit long on purpose, so from here to here is what sticks out the boat. It's not going to be mounted in the middle of the V-hull, it's going to be up here where these dots are, so they need to be a little bit longer. If I need to shorten them, that's easy enough. I can just grind, you know, that much out there. So I'll just leave them as they are and see how they go. These are an M8 thread, so obviously you need an 8mm hole to get the thread through it. Don't forget your Loctite. So it's the easiest way to put a pickup in it. It does stick down a long way, so I probably will trim it, but I'm going to leave it for now. It's about level with the bottom of the boat. If it's only running on this bit here, we'll see how it goes. I am going to trim these down. They do seem excessive. It'd be easy to do it on a grinder with them out, but I'll just do it with it in. Shouldn't be a problem. It's only aluminium. All right. Okay, so she's just about ready for the first fire up now. Done my water lines. Going to exit through these exhausts. I just haven't figured out the straps for those yet, but everything else is pretty much there. Because it's a HV speed controller, I need to run an extra battery. I have to mount that and battery switch. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But I should be able to just fire it up and program the throttle. So let's hope she works. So nothing's going to happen until I power it up from here, from this. There you go. Okay, it should be programmed now. spinning the right way. Okay, it works. Have to do something with these wires, it's all a bit tight here. Alright. Alright, I haven't programmed the speed controller. I mean, I've done the throttle now, but I'm just gonna have to go into that with the program box and do the timing and stuff. It's a Y-wind motor, so I'll be doing it fairly high timing, about 15 degrees. And I'll button it up and take it for a spin.